Makato and the Cowrie Shell, a Thai folktale. Once upon a time, there was a boy whose name was Makato. He was an orphan, for his father and mother died when he was very young. He had no brothers, sisters, cousins, or friends to take care of him, so he had to make a living for himself. He did every kind of work, carrying heavy things, clearing away the forest, or feeding pigs. He never idled. Although he was paid only small wages, he was satisfied. He knew that if he would not work, he would starve. Wherever he went, his employers praised him for being sensible, hard-working, good-tempered, and cheerful. One fine evening, after he had finished chopping up a big pile of wood, he sat down to rest and thought of all he would like to do in the future. He wanted to try his luck in far off, strange lands, for he longs for exciting adventures. What are you thinking about so deeply, my boy? Asked his employer. I would like to go on a journey for adventure, said Makato, pointing to the northeast. I heard that the land is fertile and the people are kind. I wish I could see the land for myself. The land you wish to go to is called Sukhothai, said his employer. They say Praruang of Sukhothai is a very kind-hearted king. You might be lucky if you could go there. Sometime later, Makato decided to try his fortune. He left his village and set out in the wide world. He walked along cheerfully, enjoying new insights and talking to the people he met on the way. After a month's journey, he reached a village on the boundary of the kingdom of Sukhothai. Makato was so thirsty. He saw an old woman and asked her for some water. Where did you come from? Why are you here alone? You look as if you've come a long way, said the old woman, pouring cold water from her pot into a small cup and handing it to Makato. Who are your father and mother? Haven't you any family? The old woman asked again. I come from the city of Mon over there, replied Makato. Good heavens! Have you really come from Mon? How is it that you are traveling alone, such a young boy as you are? I wanted to see Praruang of Sukhothai, replied Makato. They say he is a very kind-hearted king. Come along with me. Who knows? You might see Praruang someday. Makato was glad to go with her. The old woman was one of the Praruang Mahouts, which meant that she helped the Mahout find the food for the elephant and clean out the elephant's sheds. He worked hard and well, and the Mahout and his wife grew fond of him. One day, as he worked in the elephant's sheds, a tall young man in a splendid costume, followed by attendants, came in. It was Praruang himself. Makato bowed low at once with his hands clasped together before him. His heart beat fast. Where did the boy come from? The king asked the Mahout. Who was attending him? How old is he? The king asked further. 12 years old, your majesty, replied the Mahout. Take good care of him. As the king walked away, Makato saw a little cowrie shell lying on the ground. He ran to pick up and held it to the king. But the king said with a smile, You may keep it. How wonderful! The king has given me a cowrie shell. At the time, the people of Sukhothai used cowrie shells as money. Although one cowrie had little value, Makato wanted to make as much use of it as possible, for it was the king's gift. For a long time, he could not think of a way to use it so that it would earn money for him. One day, he passed by a stall in the market where the seeds of many different plants were sold. He looked along the stall and caught sight of a basket full of lettuce seed. Lettuces! He could grow small plants like that. Can I buy some lettuce seed? Oh, yes, my boy. How much do you want? Said the old woman. I have one cowrie shell, said Makato. One cowrie shell? That won't buy anything, said the old woman, laughing. Look, I will dip my finger into the pile of seeds. Then I will take the seeds that stick to it. That must be right for one cowrie shell. Well, why not? All right, boy, help yourself, said the old woman. Makato paid the woman his one cowrie shell. Then he dipped his finger into the pile of seeds. When he pulled his wet finger out, it was covered with seeds. He carefully scraped them off his finger into the palm of his hand and went away, happily clutching the seeds. Now that he had seeds, Makato broke the soil and sowed them at once. He watered the seed bed every day, and soon the young plants appeared. Day by day, he cleared more ground and planted more lettuce seedlings, until the kitchen garden was covered with them. He was very proud of himself because he had done so well. I wish I could give the king some lettuces, he thought. One day, the king passed by the elephant sheds again. Makato waited for an opportunity, then knelt down and proudly presented his biggest lettuces to the king. Where did you get this? The king asked, surprised. I grew them from the cowrie shell you gave me, your majesty, answered Makato, beaming with a smile. How could you do that? Asked the puzzled king. Makato told the king the whole story. The king was impressed with his intelligence and industry, so much so that later on, he gave Makato a job in the palace. As the years passed, Makato grew tall and handsome. He mastered every grace and served the king well. He was so loyal that the king trusted him absolutely. He was promoted to higher positions until he was given a title of Kunwang, which meant that he was the most important person in the king's court. He was also happily married to the beautiful young daughter of the king. After that, the king made him the ruler of Mon. So, it was that Makato, who had once been a poor orphan, became the king of that prosperous kingdom. Makato and the Cowrie Shell, a Thai folktale.